Welcome to the Rad Dad Redemption Podcast. Here's your hosts, Drew and Dex.
And we're off and running here on a beautiful Sunday morning.
Morning show. We haven't done one of these in a while.
I know, and I feel like in the past we've said they always turn out better, but you're taking an old bite of the hair off the dog that bit you last night.
I'm sucking the dog's cock right now. I am so subhuman, honestly.
It's funny because I didn't think you were that drunk when I dropped you off. Like I knew that you were like
I was.
You had a couple of beverages, but I don't know. You played it off pretty well.
I think I fooled myself. You know, I was just ripping, having a good time. This morning, though, just spending a lot of time in the bathroom, rethinking all of my decisions.
As one does after a Saturday night like that.
I said to Meg this morning, I was like, that was a college night. That's how I feel. I haven't felt like this since like we lived in a double wide trailer in Lethbridge. And made 10 grand a year, which really paints the picture of like what my life was like, but also like what I did to myself last evening. And it kind of snuck up on me. It was kind of like a Saturday fun day, you know?
Yeah.
We actually were like good parents. We went and did a bunch of stuff, went and toured a school and like took the kids to play, went to the big city of High River, you know? And then we ended up at Big Beaver, you know? Couple beers, couple chicken nuggies, played a little crib. Got back to the house and we're like, we're going to go see Dex's stand-up tonight. It's going to be fun. So then we're like still doing parent stuff, making dinner, but having a few casuals, that sort of thing. Like it was a low-key vibe. It was a slow burn.
But you were ramping up into it. Like It sounds like for several hours.
So when we got to Hubtown for the show, like ordering that beer, like that might have been my sixth drink.
Oh, okay. So I missed the preamble.
Yeah. It wasn't intentional. There was no premeditated course of action there. It happens.
You know what? That's when you're not planning to get drunk.
Yeah.
When it just sort of like it comes naturally. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's the best kind of night.
And it was fun. It was
a great night.
Yeah. Best night ever. What went down last night? Tell these listeners.
I participated in the first Hubtown Amateur Stand-Up Showdown.
Yeah, which was so fucking rad, and I didn't realize it was a competition.
I did,
okay.
But a little later on, like I just signed up to get some stage time, and then I was like, I should actually probably like understand what this show is all about. And I saw there's going to be like points that you can accrue till August. So they're going to do this monthly for anybody that didn't make it out last night, and it's all amateur comedians and. They had an amateur comedian put on the show, and I think he did a great job putting on the show and like getting things organized. Little unfortunate that a bunch of people that signed up to tell jokes didn't show up, but it did work out in my favor.
Yeah, there's nothing he could have done. You know, it was a super cold night. I don't think, like I said, I didn't realize the format. I think maybe some people thought it was kind of how I had originally perceived it, like open mic.
Yeah.
You know, and then all of a sudden it's like, no, like they did such a good job. They had your names, intros, and then as you came up and did your sets, the screen behind you, like it came up with your name and it was like, vote for this guy. Like they were doing it in real time.
Yeah. No, it was pretty cool how they had it set up.
Well produced.
Yeah, I would say so, especially for their first time going up. Like obviously there's going to maybe be some hiccups. And I think, again, the big one last night was just the lack of attendance from comedians that signed up. So, you know, I was talking to him before the show. Because we had met previously at the Laugh Shop, and he was like, I'm looking like we've only got 7 comedians, but only 4 have shown up, and so like even at 7, that's the show was supposed to go from 7 till 10, and 7 comedians at 5 minutes per comedian, y'all can do that math. Does not fill
not this morning. That's matrix math. I just have like green numbers rolling through my head right now.
I will tell you, it is less than 3 hours.
Okay.
That's less than 3 hours of material. So, you know, he told me up front, he was like, I know you're funny. I've seen you out there before. He's like, if you want to go longer than 5, like it was supposed to be a 5-minute set, like your typical open mic night. It's like, if you want to go longer than 5, like give her. And I was like, I would love to. I thought I was beholden to 5 because I had written out this whole new bit over the week. And when I timed it out, it was like 9.5. And I was like, oi, all right. So I cut the whole back half of the bit off. And so I was like frantically writing that back into my notes app before you guys arrived. I'm glad I showed up early so I had time to do that. So yeah, I think my bit was like, it had to be almost 10 minutes. I don't know. You filmed it, so we probably got time.
7 and change.
Seven and change.
One.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm gonna quote you bearing the lead. The first one, because what ended up happening here is, and it was a really good show. And I think actually maybe just a note on that, two things I want to say is, definitely a call to action here for our listeners. They're going to be doing this every single month.
Yeah.
Around the first of the month, if not the actual first, but I'm sure they'll do it on the weekends.
I think it's going to be on Saturdays. Yeah.
Yeah. We need your support. We need people to come to the show. It's $5 tickets, great beer, good atmosphere, but come and watch Dex and vote for Dex. And I do think the other thing that's going to happen, point number 2, is it was so awesome. There's going to be a better showing next time. People are going to sign up and they're going to friggin' follow through.
Totally. I think hopefully we see a few of the repeat people. So like everybody else that went up, it was their first time, and that's nerve wracking. And it was a pretty well attended room. Like if that's your first time going up, it can be get your hands shaken a little bit. And I thought everybody did, pretty well. Everybody got some good laughs. Like we were talking about this last night, we've been at shows where people have bombed, right?
Yeah.
For everybody to be doing their first time and get some pretty solid laughs, like I didn't feel like anybody fell on their face out there. So hopefully they come back and, they want to improve their craft, but we get some more people out too. Come out. It was kind of short notice. We were posting about it a little bit. I was posting on my Instagram, but, now that we know this is going to be a monthly thing.
Yeah. No, I'll finally, I say a lot of stuff. I talk the talk. I don't know.
You do talk a lot of talk.
But I've got some of that footage. I'll get it on our socials and we'll try and beef it up. But yeah, everyone should come out. And it was cool that it was all first timers, because you were kind of like the consummate professional.
Which is weird, because it was like, what's that, my 6th or 7th time?
Yeah, but even just having, because when you say like the nerves, like there was definitely, I think, the host did great. But there was a couple, I think he was probably just trying to fill time. Like there was a point where he was like, I'm fucking out of material.
Yeah, because he was going up in between everybody.
Yeah.
And trying to like set up some jokes. And yeah, he told me, he's like, I just burned through like my 2.5 years of material I've written.
Yeah.
And so by the end, but he's trying to fill time, right? Like everybody kind of, I mean, it's $5. Who gives a fuck if it ends early? But
yeah.
He's trying to make this show worth the $5 that you paid to get in the room, right? So he's trying to fill time, but he's starting to run out of stuff because he's been up 4 times.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I guess you kind of mentioned it, but he's like, anybody want to tell some jokes? I was like, I'll do another set. And then a little later, he's like, anybody want to tell some jokes? I was like, I'll do another set. So,
oh, and people were stoked, because your first set, obviously, I'm a little biased, but I think not only were your jokes great, but you got the je ne sais quoi. You got the comedy hog. Like you got a stage presence. People loved it, and you were definitely the most well received. So then when they called you back up, everyone was like, "Oh, this guy, yeah." It was kind of cool when I was getting the feeling that they might be kind of doing like, "Hey, is Dex gonna come back up?" I was staring into the back of your skull. You weren't looking at me. You were like pure focus at the stage, and I was like just looking into your fucking cranium, and I'm like, "Go do the samurai massage oil joke." Just fucking get up there, do Squirtopia mattress pad, do it. And I'm just like willing it into existence. And like without even blinking, he's like, does anyone wanna? And you're like, yeah. And you went up and you did that bit. And I was like, that's fucking awesome. Yeah. It's not telepathy, but it's definitely
there's something there.
There's something there. Like we're so often on the same page. I was just like, I fucking willed that into existence. That's how I felt in that moment. It could have been the beers. It was the beers.
I wanted to do it too.
Yeah.
I was telling, I think, Meg last night, I was like, I go back because I have, you always record, which I super appreciate, because that's something that
I do some stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. No, you're my hype man. I said that to everybody last night. I was like, he's my hype man. But you always record my sets, which I super appreciate, because otherwise if I wanted that, which I probably wouldn't follow through on, but if I wanted that, I'd have to set up like my own camera or my phone or whatever. And so not having to do that while I'm trying to also go perform is nice. And then the nice thing is I download them all after you send them to me, and I've got a folder, and I will go back, like if I'm just sitting there randomly.
Like your smut comedy folder?
Yeah. I'll go back and I'll like watch them randomly. Like if I'm just sitting there doing nothing, I'm like, I'm going to go watch my bits. And I just subconsciously, I'm like, I would fix this. And so when I got a chance to go back up, I was like, I haven't done this Squirtopia bit in a while. Like it's probably been at least a year. And I was like, but I have these things in the back of my mind, like things that I would cut or things that I would add. And also it was kind of like very freeing in the sense that I didn't have a time limit. So I was able to do the massage part and then lead into the Squirtopia part, which is longer than 5 minutes. I wasn't able to ever put those two parts together at the Laugh Shop.
Yeah, it's interesting actually you say that. I noticed, when you have more time like that,
you can be very casual and
you got to ad lib a little more. You actually kind of polished a lot of those parts up with more funny stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas when you're at the Laugh Shop, like when you go there, Dex is on stage. There's a ton of people. It's a small venue, but like when you're fucking standing up in front of people, it's a big venue.
It still holds like 200 people.
For sure. I'm trying to paint the picture. Like you don't go in there and it's like, oh, it's the dome, but like you're up on the stage. Like, yeah, there's 200 fucking people when it's full. And what you're looking at is the back bar and a giant clock
that's counting you down.
Counting you down. Right?
and they tell you if you go over 5, like, nice knowing you're not coming back.
Yeah, they're unlike the show last night, and this is not a criticism, just kind of like, super amateur versus like a professional comedy shop that is hosting an amateur night
with a headliner who's you're paying good money to see. Yeah.
And they got people on staff that they are like, they're dialed and they want everyone out of there by 10.
Yeah.
And they got to shut down. So, no, it was a super good night. We met our boy Big Peter. He went up and did his first ever bit, and I felt like he was doing it for us because he stumbled a little bit at first. He even did the little like where's the train of thought, and I was like, come on, Pete.
Yeah,
and he's like, all right, guys, and he just kind of started delivering his bit to us.
Yeah,
which is hilarious because we were fucking dying.
He said some offside things.
He said the R word. He say, okay, all right, jingle, I'm going to say it. Don't cancel me. Okay.
We won't, because we're quoting.
And I also want to say Big Peter's a cool dude and good for him for getting up there.
Good for him getting up there. He was funny for his first time.
Yeah.
Obviously some nerves.
Big Pete, and I quote, said, women are retarded in his fucking bit in public.
And I laughed just like that when he said it.
We were the only two people laughing. We were fucking dying. And then he finished his set by like pantomiming dropping a baby.
Yeah.
Like it was for us. He did jokes for the boys.
He was, you know what? I respect that. He pushed the limits, which is something that I've always been like, well, even I talked to you this week and I was like, do I say this line or is it too dark? And you were like, go for it.
Which I caught hell for because my wife listened to us having that conversation. And like she's on the spin bike and I'm like chatting with you and you're running material by me and I'm like, no, you got to do that. And she's like, no, Drew, you and Dex agree on everything. You literally don't ever disagree. You can't work material together because it's like not beneficial to Dex whatsoever. He receives no constructive criticism. He receives no like feedback that he can act on, like no actionable items. You just fucking pump him up. And I'm like, yeah, anyway, do it. Go for it. And it was a huge laugh.
I did it and I got a huge laugh. So that was good.
So but Megan's fucking wrong. Women are retarded. Okay, that was me. That wasn't Pete. Damn it. Oh, can't say that stuff,
yeah,
guys.
We might drop that. Anyway.
It's okay. Okay. Yeah, all right.
It was
That's only
name,
2 per episode.
In the name of comedy.
It was right there. It was low hanging fruit.
But yeah, no, I thought he did great for his first time out, and obviously, some nerves. And then I think one of the things that I won't lie, last night I was absolutely riding a high. This morning I'm riding a high. Like I feel so good about what I did. Like not to pump my own tires, but I do. I feel good about what I did.
I felt so good. You said I was your hype man. I was like representing you. I was like, you're Mike Tyson and I'm the dude with like the crazy fucking
Don King.
Yeah, I'm Don King. I was like, I introduced to like everyone I talked to. I was like, yeah, Dex and I, we're a team. Okay.
We shouted out the podcast. I put it in my bio and a lot of people came up to chat with us afterwards. Like people that were, the owners of Hubtown came up to say hi. People that were at the show came up to say hi and compliment me, which is super nice. The other comedians came up to talk to me. Like it felt really good.
What did you say to the owner? One of your bits was about watching porn.
Oh yeah. So the last bit, that's kind of where I was going with this long meandering thought that I'm trying to finish. But my last bit was all improv. He was kind of like, anybody want to tell another joke? And I was like, I'll go.
I'll do it.
And in my mind, I was like, okay, there's two ways I can take this. And I was feeling like I was riding such a high because every time I sat down at the table, you were hugging me. Like Meg was like showing me texts from my wife where she's like, Dex did so good and stuff. And so I was like, okay, so I can go out and do a bit that I've already prepared. I could do like my, my rap bit or whatever that I've done a couple times. Or I can like quickly go into my notes app where I've got this notes app on my phone. And if I have a funny thought, I'll write it. But it's like one sentence. And the idea is one day I'll pick out that one sentence. I'm going to write a bit about it. So I went in there and I saw this one sentence and I was like, oh, I've kind of thought about how I would work this as a bit, but I haven't actually written it down. It's just in my head. And so I was like, I'm going to go out and improv this bit and we'll see.
I'm going to workshop it live.
And the joke was about it was a huge buildup where like I almost wanted to lead into like, I'm going to talk about some serious news issue or like some injustice happening in the world. And then I led into like the scourge of stepbrother, stepsister porn on the internet. And anyway, so I thought it went fairly well. It was definitely like not very polished. But afterwards, the owner came up to me and she's like, oh, you did so great. And that part about or your last little bit, you went up and you improv'd it. That was so cool. And I was like, yeah, well, it was pretty easy. I watch a lot of porn.
Yeah, that's what it was.
And everybody was
Deadpan.
like, eh.
It wasn't even a bit. I was just talking.
Honestly, I really do care about that.
Oh man, those atmospheres, like they get so silly. Like it's reciprocal. Like you go up, you crush it. Everyone's excited for you. I'm excited for you. But you're in this space where everyone is just being funny and you're saying things that you probably otherwise wouldn't say and certainly don't say out loud a lot. And it kind of gives you license. So you had that bit about stepsister, stepbrother porn.
Yeah.
And someone in the audience, someone at the show came up after and was like, that joke, like you got me laughing so hard. Like,
she's like, I was crying.
I have a sister who like married a stepbrother. And I couldn't wait to get it out. As soon as she said it, I was just like, oh, did you find her in a dryer? Oh,
was she stuck in the dryer? You, me, and Brad laughed so hard at that. She's like, yeah, maybe. I don't like. She didn't.
Oh, right over her head. All the girls were like, what are you fucking talking about? You guys are stupid. I was, that's what I mean. I was like, I watch porn too. I watch it too. You friggin' bet. Oh, it just gets me so hyped up. And I needed to express myself. And we lucked into it after the show. Zilla and Nikki took off and I was like, hey, let's go grab another beer at Grand Central. Which, you know what? Grand Central is what it is. It's a dumpster.
It's a nicer dumpster though.
Yeah.
I would call it an upscale dumpster.
Yes, absolutely. It's been refurbished.
Yeah.
So you go there to gamble. You go there to gamble and to drink. And apparently on Saturday nights, you go there to sing karaoke.
Yeah.
And I needed that because like I had just been watching you and everyone's like loving your shit. But that's when like the beer scales started to tip a little bit for me. So we got in there and we sang like our classic duet, which I think I was considering this morning. We've got to be nearing 10 times all time that we've sung that song.
Oh, at least.
Yeah.
For context, like my dad used to have a karaoke machine in our front, like our, I don't know what you want to call it, like a family room or whatever. And when Drew would come over to my house as a kid, we would sing karaoke. Like that was like the thing to do at my house.
Like no TV, family room was just the karaoke machine, and we would all sit
and like
there.
This little CRT with the lyrics.
Yeah.
Like,
there was a TV. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, but like it was a small one. It wasn't like you watch TV on it.
And purpose built for karaoke.
Yeah. And this is back when you had to get the CDs. Like now you just hop on YouTube and you can find whatever karaoke song you want.
Yeah, you had to fucking flip. It was some work.
Yeah. So you had to find the CD, go to the track you want. Anyway, we would always sing "If I Had $1 Million" by Bare Naked Ladies.
Oh yeah.
And we did that last night.
We did it, and it was pitchy.
It was not good,
but I just loved it.
We had fun, and you know what? People in the place were enjoying it because we obviously weren't taking ourselves too seriously.
Yep,
we were just having a good time, and people were, I feel like, vibing with that. And then the drinks were flowing.
So that's what I was gonna say. So then, I kind of turned into a hyena because I was just like, oh, praise me, I'm funny too, like. and my wife wanted to go home. You weren't even drinking, which is hilarious. I definitely I was reading the room wrong. Like
I had a drink.
it was like time to go home, and I just I signed myself up for another song.
You were threatening to sign your wife up for songs, and she was like, "I'll walk out the fucking door."
She did not appreciate that, and I was messing with her. I never wrote her name down, but I just sold it. I'd be like, "Oh, you're gonna love the pick. You're gonna love the pick. I can't wait to see you sing this." And she's mortified, right? She's like, "I'll just fucking leave. But I did sign you up.
Yeah.
And I told you the song, and
I don't know if I didn't. I wasn't sure to believe you or not.
I told you the song, and I was like, it's going to be great. In hindsight, it was time to go. It was it wouldn't have even been that funny. It was I'm Too Sexy by Right Said Fred.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know what I wanted from that. I don't know.
You wanted to see me embarrass myself, I think.
I'm going to take you down a peg. You think you're so fucking funny. You think you're such a
And you know what? If I had been on your level, I probably would have followed through. But the guy called my name.
Which I loved.
The guy's like, Dex, come on up. And so I was like, I still wasn't sure if you actually did put me down. Because there's songs that I would have been like, okay, I'm going to bite the bullet and sing it.
Yeah.
That was not one of them. So I walked up.
So deep that it didn't even bleed and catch me.
So I walked up. I was like, what song did my asshole friend write my name
and
down for?
And you did say that. You're my fucking friend.
And he's like, I'm Too Sexy. And I was like, fuck, he wasn't lying. And I was like, yeah, no, take me off the list. Call your next guy. And he's like, he was kind of like, oh, what?
Yeah, he had flipped through the CD wallet. He had done a bunch of work.
He loaded it. I felt bad, but I was like, I don't want to be an asshole. And if somebody badly wants to sing, you said you're closing in 20 minutes. I was like, I don't want to take somebody's spot that if they really want to sing. I was like, and I'm going home. Bye. Megan paid the tab. I was like, I'm going. And so I walked away. And the guy's calling me out
on the mic. He goes, looks like Dex bailed. Dex is bailing.
I headed for the door. I was like, we're going home.
Yeah. So then we went home. I had one more drink. Thanks for the ride, by the way.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And it was the best night. It was the funnest night ever. But then it was time to go to bed. And one thing that came up between Megan and I, context here, we never fight. We have fought, we as a couple, we have have to disagreements, but the average, we don't really bicker. We're rarely at odds. Megan and I are very solid. We don't have a lot of fights. It's very rare. And when we got home last night, she had said, when I was talking about how I wanted to do a stand-up set, she's like, I couldn't handle that. It would be too cringy. I wouldn't want to watch you do stand-up. I couldn't come. And I took that as I'm not going to be good. We had the silliest. You ever do that? The silliest, nonsensical.
Especially when there's alcohol involved.
Yeah.
It's
it was definitely one of those things where I was just you don't think I'm going to be good? I could be great, I could be so fucking great. You watch. And I got up this morning. She's like, we good? I'm like, oh, yeah, God, yeah. I'm an idiot.
Okay, seriously, though. Right here, right now, are you going to go up and do stand-up at the next Hubtown?
100%.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm going to write. I'll do the 5 minutes. Especially, I've talked about it a lot. Big talker. But I think just kind of almost more so to support this venture at Hubtown and this show. I can go do 5 minutes. Absolutely, I could. And lots of people came up, did their thing. And I'm not going to be that guy that's I can do it better. That's what I was saying last night, but that was the beers. I think I could definitely...
You could hold your own.
I could hold my own.
Yeah.
I've got jokes.
Yeah.
And so for 5 minutes, it goes so fucking quick, man. I'm going to write it down. It'll be hard for me to pick what I want to do. Mm-hmm. I'm going to have to really think about that, but I'm going to. I'm going to write something and we'll see.
And I think if anybody's that's listening, if you've ever wanted to try stand-up, I would say that's a very safe space to try it. The event last night, like we said, was very well run. And I think everybody was very supportive of the newbies. And it was just a positive place, I think, for people to try some stand-up and kind of get outside their comfort zone a little bit. So if you're interested, I think big picture, it would be really cool if this is a successful thing for Hubtown and it becomes a regular thing beyond the finals in August, because I think they've got an awesome venue upstairs there for stand-up comedy. And I would really love it to be a successful thing for them that, we get some more opportunity in Okotoks, because it's really hard to get stage time. If you want to get on at the Laugh Shop, you've got to email them and wait a few months. It's not always easy to get out there, especially if you're new and you don't have a name that people know in the community and stuff. So, build some connections. And if you don't like it, you don't like it. But try it. If you've ever thought you want to do it, try it.
We had talked about, and I'll second that. Absolutely. You guys should all sign up. I'll sign up. We got to support
Or at least
this.
come out and watch.
Come out and watch, and definitely come vote Dex. I firmly believe, with a little bit of gumption and effort, that this is, I don't want to say in the bag, but I feel like Dex in August, unless someone comes out that is just absolutely incredible. Like you've already got a leg up. I feel like we got to get people out to vote for you, but I want you to win, and I think you can win. This was the original thought that we had when we, like, very early on in this podcast. We wanted to do a comedy night.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of cool that we just didn't really get organized and someone else did it, and now it's working out way better.
And they're doing a very good job of it, yeah.
But this is kind of what we wanted to do with our show in, 2 summers ago. The variety show. Mm-hmm. You got 15 minutes. I did like a little bit of like the MC stuff, but we were pretty unprepared, and it also didn't take shape like this. This format's way better. It's like, hey, comedy, 5 minutes, come up. Everyone's amateur.
Yeah.
We're going to make sure you can vote. We're going to make sure things are organized, and less is more. It's a great event. So that's probably all I have to say. But it was a great night, man.
Yeah,
Cheers to you.
Thank you. Yeah, like I said, I felt really good, and I think it was a good stopping point on last night.
Cheers in our Trudeau mugs.
Yeah, actually,
Clinky.
We kind of ignored this, but you hinted at it on the last episode about this Christmas gift.
Yeah, this is a gift from our dear friend and avid listener, Uncle Ben. He's gotten us some mics. No, it's not mics. Mugs. He's gotten some mugs for the studio, so we can actually be professional sippers. But mine is a flock of geese, and in the center, it's Justin Trudeau shirtless, smoking a joint.
Flying with the geese. In formation. Mine is in a field of cannabis plants. There's a little clearing, and Justin Trudeau is sitting on a log smoking joints with a beaver, a bear, and a moose. And the background is a beautiful mountain range, maybe the Rocky Mountains there. Really nice. And then we've got one sitting over here for our next guest.
This is our guest.
And it's Justin Trudeau flying over Parliament, the home of our democracy, riding a moose. And as you may suspect, he's smoking a joint.
Yeah, lots of paraphernalia. Lots of Swede.
And then we've got this little, I don't want to say it's like a bobblehead. It's like a figurine or whatever at the center. And it's Justin Trudeau taking a selfie. Big Trudeau fans.
Yeah, we're huge Trudeau fans, and Ben knew it, so he came correct. He also got us a bottle of bourbon, which I drank.
Okay. I'm not a big bourbon guy. And now there's tariffs on bourbon.
I was just about to say, I'll get a bottle for us to drink. It'll be me drinking it, because you might have like one while we smoke some meat or something. But, if you're in Ontario, you're probably not buying bourbon for the foreseeable future.
You can't.
Yeah.
They took it off the shelves.
Tuesday, February 4th is the deadline. No American booze. And I'm fucking all for it.
Me too.
I honestly, fuck this dude. Donald Trump, overgrown, Oompa Loompa, inflated self-worth. He sucks. I fucking hate him, man.
Yeah. Yeah, no, he's a piece of shit. And I would say the one thing he's accomplished that may be positive at the end of all this is I think there's a lot of division in Canada lately, as we've seen in a lot of Western democracies just over the last few years.
The polarization, we talk about it all the time. You used to be able to I'm conservative, I'm liberal,
We can find common ground.
We can talk. We have a very narrow spectrum in Canada until recently.
Yeah, it's become very polarized.
Yeah.
And so I will say, thank you to Donald Trump, because I think he is united Canadians.
A common enemy.
In a way, across political spectrums that I don't think any politician in Canada was capable of doing. So we'll give him props for that fucking piece of shit.
Globally condemned for his completely unnecessary trade war that he's trying to start off. And no one wins. No. Everything becomes more expensive,
especially for
us.
Americans.
Yes.
Because Canada, the tariffs they've announced are very targeted. It's targeted to hit red states, right? They're doing orange juice, they're doing Kentucky bourbon, they're doing
Which I thought was kind of funny. They're like, oh, well, your fucking orange juice is getting taxed. But it is. It's like a huge export, obviously.
It's a huge export, and I think, the thing is, if they blanket tariffed Canada, right? But we're going to unite, and it's whatever. In Canada, we're really targeting it, and if one orange juice bottling factory in Florida shuts down because they've lost a sizable market. I mean, I'm not going to pretend Canada at 10% of the population of the U.S. is drastically going to collapse their industries. But if one factory shuts down and, 1,000 people lose their jobs because of these tariffs, they're going to be pretty pissed off at Donald Trump, hopefully, right? And so I think what they're doing is pretty smart. For all the hate that Trudeau gets, I think his speech last night was excellent. And I've seen people saying that across the
spectrum. Then he flew off with the geese.
Flew off with the geese, smoked a doink, yeah.
Yeah, he's back. Vote him back in.
No, I think he's done.
Even Jagmeet's like, I might not topple this shit. We got to respond.
Yeah, and so, I think he's definitely done, and but he's going out on a high note, I think. I think that speech last night was really good.
And that's probably best case. Now, okay.
It's like still leave.
Still go.
We're all done with you. Still leave.
Out of here.
But yeah, you're going out on a high note. But yeah, I think for me, I mean, it's like, yeah, no, we should. What can you do as a consumer? Like, for me, it's like I went grocery shopping yesterday, and my wife's like, "I'm not going with you," because I was already on the like.
Oh yeah,
American
I'm reading
train.
labels. We drink a lot of wine. It's very alcohol focused from my end today, but that my wife and I enjoy. Californian wines, and I was like, we're fucking done. Like everything I buy from this point on, if I can help it. Obviously there's a lot of stuff that there's just no way.
Yeah,
like gasoline, is being refined in America essentially. But like if I can make a conscious effort and not support that country with my money, like I'm fucking doing it.
Yep, and that's where I'm at. Yesterday I went grocery shopping. There's a few items that unfortunately you can't really escape. Our economy has been so tied for decades. Like it's going to be really hard to fully get away from that. But yeah, I'm reading labels. I had strawberries on my list and I did not buy them because they were from California. We went to a different store and bought Mexican ones, which is kind of a pain in the ass a little bit. But it's like, no, I'm not buying these fucking strawberries from the United States. I'll buy Mexican strawberries. A strawberry is a strawberry, and that'll be easier in the summer when BC is actually back to producing fruit and stuff like that. But and then some other things like I've kind of floated. This is a tricky one with the kids because they love it, but canceling Disney and Netflix.
Oh yeah, wow. Okay.
Here's a tip for everybody. I'm back to sailing the high seas. I'm pirating everything.
You heard it here first.
Fuck these companies, these American companies. I don't need you to stream your shows. So here's a tip for everybody. I downloaded this app.
Yeah, I'm actually like, yeah. Tell me.
I downloaded this app on my phone. It's called Streamio. Stremio. Download it on your phone. Maybe I'll share the link. There's a great setup guide on Reddit. You can set it up, and it pulls in torrents that you can stream right from your phone, and it's cloud-based. So once you've set it up on your phone, if you download it on your Android TV or your Samsung TV or your LG or whatever, it pulls in what you've set up on your phone, and it syncs everything, and it's like a Netflix-style interface, but it is every single show or movie you could ever want to watch.
Holy shit.
For free.
This sounds like an ad read. We should get people to sponsor us. We would do a good job.
Streamio. I don't think they're making a ton of money. It's like a bunch of developers in like probably Russia or something.
As you said, the name rings a bell. I feel like my dad got conned. I hope he doesn't listen to this episode. I feel like someone just sold him Streamio for like a bunch of money in Mexico, but they probably just came over and set it up for him.
Possibly. Yeah. I mean, there is a somewhat involved setup, but it's really not that hard if you follow this guide that I found. So yeah, like those kind of things. Yeah, I'm gonna. Netflix has raised their price to fucking $24 a month. That's absurd.
Everything. Yeah. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate also $25.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I'm just trying to think of what are those services that I can cancel so that I have less money going back to American companies.
And I hope that everyone does it. It's not insignificant. To bring it back to that Ontario ban of all American liquor sales, that's $1 billion.
The Ontario Liquor and Gaming Commission, they are the single largest buyer of alcohol from the United States in the entire world.
It's basically a state. What are there, 12 or 14 million people in Ontario alone?
Yeah.
Like, It's a huge fucking deal. We're going to hit them where it hurts.
It is a big deal. And here's another thing I saw. Somebody commented this, or maybe it was a news article. I can't remember. I saw it. But they were doing the math, and they're like, listen, like, yeah, it's going to be impossible to completely decouple yourself from the United States, at least in the short term, right? But if every Canadian could spend $200 less per month on American products or services or whatever, that is across 40 million people in Canada, that is $8 billion a month that is not going back to the United States. That is not a small amount of money. I mean, yes, the United States economy is like a $4.5 trillion economy. It is not a huge, but that $8 billion means factories close, people lose their jobs, and you need to like turn the gears a little bit.
And this base, maybe from not just Canada, but Mexico and, you know, other countries. China says they're not doing shit.
Well, they came out today and said they're taking them to the World Trade Organization
because it's illegal.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, it erodes that base. Like, these are blue collar voters.
Yeah.
And yeah, everything's all good on Facebook and social media. You can be as fucking proud as you want of your president until you lose your job.
Yeah.
And it's his fucking fault. And he can tell you that it's because they hired too many immigrants and they had too many DEI initiatives. But at some fucking point, these people have to say, I think he's lying.
Yeah.
I think he doesn't know what he's talking about at all.
Yeah, and I think he's very vindictive, and I think there's actually, like, a lot of people are like, well, you know, it's not just Trump, there's a whole bunch of people behind him. I actually think there's a lot of people trying to talk some sense into him behind the scenes in his own government because they know that this is bad. But he's old and he's got nothing to lose, and he got out of his court cases now, and he's got what he wanted, right? So he wants to punish everyone else.
Burn.
Yeah. And ultimately what he wants to do is he wants to eliminate income taxes, which is going to disproportionately benefit highly wealthy people.
Yeah, his
right?
oligarchy.
Yeah. And so he's doing this for the wealthiest people. And I've said, like, yeah, there are people that are in that mega cult. He is God Emperor of that cult. But there's a language that I think everybody speaks, and that's money. And yeah, when bills are going unpaid because your hours got cut or you lost your job because a whole market has disappeared for the product that your company makes or your employer makes, I think people it's gonna puncture that bubble a little bit. And that's the hope. And hopefully we don't get this. We were talking about this earlier this week. There's this like very weird like trend that is, I mean, it almost seems kind of alarmist at times, but it's really not. There's this weird trend that's very like parallel to Nazi Germany.
It is. Man. I said this to Meg. We were talking the other night, and like, you know, the historical significance of that time obviously varied and not going to be unpacked on this episode, but it wasn't like, you know, Hitler got into power and just kind of did all these insane things overnight.
No, like go read the rise of Nazi. Hitler never actually won a majority in their government. Like the most Hitler ever got, I think, was like 29% of the vote. He took power through these different measures, and he also, when he got into power and became chancellor, it's not like he was like, day one, we're gassing Jews.
That's the thing. It's
a slow burn.
There's a lot of parallels.
Yeah.
You know, you know, you're coming out of the First World War. You've got all these sanctions on you from the Treaty of Versailles. Your country is essentially occupied, and you can't develop anything in terms of military spending. You know, you're basically, you're a bad boy. You know, we're fucking not going to do this again.
Yeah.
And here comes Hitler, and he's like, you know what? Let's spend some money on the fucking military. All these people that lost their life savings due to the ramifications of our, you know, part in the First World War, we're going to turn this around. He was a fucking savior. You know, like he absolutely turned the economy around, and everyone was like, hey, okay, hold on. He's got some good ideas. And he wasn't like, let's round up Jewish people. Let's round up people of color, immigrants, and like send them to concentration camps. At first it was like, you know what, let's make it hard for them to run a business, to own a business.
Yeah. And then it became, let's deport them. And concentration camps were not originally built to be death camps. Concentration camps were built to house people until they could deport them to Eastern Europe or Asia or Middle East. Like he wanted to deport these people. And then he found out that's kind of fucking hard to do. And then they were like, well, final solution.
And it's expensive, final solution, yeah.
And that's when, obviously we understand history the way it is, but there was a whole build up to that. And Trump is like eerily following that path.
The parallels
very
are
quickly.
spooky. They're
like
nuts.
Guantanamo Bay has now been approved to house migrants that cannot go back to their country. They can't figure out where these people are from, or their country won't accept them. So they're going to put them in fucking Guantanamo Bay. So they've already got concentration camp. It's not a death camp yet, but like we are speed running to that, and it's kind of scary.
Yeah, and that's a weird thing too. Like the post-labelist, like, oh, don't call it that. Elon Musk gives the fucking Sieg Heil, and he's like, I'm so tired of people saying, I'm a Nazi.
Saying my heart goes out to you.
Nazi shaming.
Okay, fuck
it's like,
off.
we know what it is.
Yeah.
We know exactly
Everybody
what this
saw that
fucking
video.
is, man.
You did it twice.
Yeah, we are putting a fucking label on it.
Yeah.
This is becoming a fascist regime. Like it's fucking fast tracking, and it's happening right in front of us. Like right. I don't want to say under our noses. Like it's blatant. It's crazy. We're gonna turn around in a couple of years here, and I think you said this earlier in the week. And maybe it's a hard. I'm not gonna say something profound here, but this will be a chapter in history books.
Yep.
Like we will talk about this forever. Remember when that fucking happened? Nazi Germany 2.0, and we all were just like, I can't believe it. Is he really doing this? He's doing this. He's doing this. The amount of times I've said in the last 8 years, I can't believe this is happening, and it's just like it's fucking daily now.
Mm-hmm. He's been in power for 2 weeks. Not even. Tomorrow will be 2 weeks. 2 weeks. And the fucking shit that he's done. And everybody, when we talk about World War II, I think we also do like a disservice and the rise of Nazi Germany. We do a disservice by often talking about the actual official start of World War II, which was the invasion of Poland. But there was a ton of shit that happened before that. You look at Austria, which is kind of like what I feel like Trump is doing to Canada right now with his talk about making us the 51st state. There was a lot of
toss it around. Fucking we're gonna annex Canada.
There was a lot of first economic pressure on Austria by Nazi Germany, and eventually a takeover of a sizable portion of Austria to, and I'm using air quotes here because we don't have video, but to protect like German ethnic Germans. And I think, that's going to be his next justification is it's like we've put economic pressure and they're fighting back. So we need to protect, our friends in Canada. We need to get into Alberta and save Danielle Smith and her supporters because they're going to, that's, I hate to be alarmist and I hope to God that does not happen, obviously.
That's Putin's playbook. It's his boy.
He did the same shit in Ukraine.
Yeah. Oh, the ethnic Russians, man, they want us. They want us to come in there and save them. They're dying. We have to stop the political ideologies that are coming out of there because they're dangerous.
Yeah,
come on, fucking come on.
So anyway, hopefully cooler heads prevail in the United States, but right now it's spooky.
I would hope so. Yeah, I mean we tend to get pretty pessimistic on this show. Maybe some good comes from some of this. I mean, certainly not for America. But I'm not an economist. I couldn't be further from an economist. I don't really get it. But I do think, there's going to be some painful moments here for Canadians financially. But, maybe this is the push to diversify our oil economy. Maybe we lean into these other countries that are being slighted by this fucking maniac.
I think Canada needs to, and as much as, you hate to replace one evil superpower with another, I think Canada needs to kind of cozy up a little closer with China.
I'm team China.
Yep. And that's not to say that China is good. They are doing bad things too. All countries do bad things.
We do bad things.
Yeah.
Canada, we always talk about Canada like it's this fucking, virtuous pillar of fucking good.
We've done horrible things in this country.
Destroyed 500 unique cultures of indigenous people and put them in camps. We also fucking suck.
Yeah, I mean, nobody's good, right? Nobody is inherently good. I think it's much more nuanced than that. But there's about to be a bunch of auto plants in Ontario that close down, unfortunately, and they're estimating there could be 500,000 people that lose their jobs in the auto industry or in related industries. We put in, along with the United States last year, we put in a tariff on Chinese electric vehicles of 100%, effectively making them impossible to sell in Canada, right? Nobody's going to buy a vehicle that's 2x the price because of taxes. I think maybe we say we're going to keep that tariff on Chinese produced vehicles, but if you want to fire up some manufacturing in these now empty plants in Ontario, we'll let you sell your vehicles here.
Yeah.
And I think that's where some of these solutions need to come from. And I also think the U.S. Trump is playing poker with his cards face up. He put in these blanket 25% tariffs on almost everything.
That motherfucker plays Go Fish.
He
doesn't know. He doesn't know.
Poker's a little advanced. But 25% blanket tariffs on almost everything, but 10% on oil, and that doesn't kick in until halfway through February. So quite clearly he said, well, we still need your oil, and there's no tariffs on copper and some other minerals and stuff like that. I think they should, potash is another one, which 95% of the potash used in the United States comes from Saskatchewan.
Yep.
I think they should start putting some export tariffs. Like, oh, hey, you want to do 25% on everything? Well, let's help you out.
Potash, ammonium sulfate, ammonium phosphate, all byproducts of nickel production, which is also another massive export. Like we have a ton of fucking, talk poker. We got chips.
Canada's one of the most resource-rich countries in the world, and you kind of said it. We need to diversify because I think we've really settled into a reliance on the United States for our resources. And there's other countries in the world that would love that, and we have a ton of resources.
We've settled in because historically they're our greatest trade partner, and we've had like a common history for hundreds of years. Like that's another thing too, just to kind of throw it back. Like this is a major diss. This is a major fucking diss.
It's your best friend saying I don't want to hang out with you anymore.
Yeah. It's kind of
and actually I'm also gonna fuck your wife too.
Yeah,
like it's pretty harsh.
Cuck chair.
Yeah. So yeah, there's that aspect of it. It's pretty wild, and I feel like Donald Trump has spent a lot of currency in the form of goodwill in the world, and he's done that in 2 weeks. And I think he's drastically harmed American prosperity for a long time. Like even if he pulls back on this, which I still think he's going to. Honestly, I do think that this is like...
You think this is like art of the deal shit? Like he's coming in hot and then he's like, okay, it's going to be 10%. No.
He's transactional. He wants a win that he can go to the American people and say, look what I got because I played hardball.
Yeah, and I told you I would.
And I think there are some things that Canada does need to do to hold that. Like we are members of NATO and we do not come close to spending how much we've committed to spend, which is 2% of GDP on the military. Whereas other NATO members have met that. So we're not holding up our end of the deal. I think maybe he wants a win there, right? Okay, Canada's committed to increase their spending. They're going to be at 2% by the end of 2026.
And we haven't been for a long time.
No. And so, that is, I think, a genuine grievance. I don't think you need to severely punish a country for that. I think there's other ways to get there. But he's going to play hardball and he wants these wins. But I think he might pull back on that. That's maybe I'm being too hopeful. But... yeah, I think at the end of the day, even if he does pull back on that, it's like, well, the free trade agreements that we sign with you are not worth the paper they're written on. If you can just declare an imaginary emergency about the less than 2% of fentanyl that came in from Canada.
Yeah, what is that?
It's made up bullshit.
It's rhetoric. He just fucking says what he needs to say for people to be like, oh yeah, of course.
He also talks about the trade deficit. Which is also an absurd thing because again we're very resource rich.
What did he say? 350 billion? Like
he said 400 billion, and the actual number is about 40 billion. So he's inflated it by 5x. And if you took out oil, we actually have a trade deficit with the United States. So the whole trade deficit is oil that they fucking refine and use and either use in their country or sell back to other countries. Sell back to us, sell to Mexico and other countries. So he talks about this trade deficit. He's using, made up numbers that he's pulled out of his ass. And if you actually just strip out one thing from that calculation, all of a sudden the trade deficit is gone. And now it's going the other way. So but people won't look into that. His voters will not look into that any deeper than what he says.
Even as you're saying that, I was like, this is not the conversation people are having in America. I shouldn't say that. His base is not having these conversations.
Yeah, 50% of America is not having that conversation right now. And you also need to remember that The average reading level of an adult in the United States is at a 6th grade level. So they can't understand economic concepts.
Honestly, yeah.
A Goosebumps book is kind of a challenge for them, right?
Pop-up
So
book.
yeah. So you're paddling upstream with those ones.
Vote R.L. Stein. He's the man.
Yeah. So anyway, takeaway is trade war is on.
Trade war is on. Trade war is bad. Trade war is bad for everyone.
It is bad.
Yeah, it is globally. Like it's the stupidest trade war, completely unnecessary, and it's gonna hurt everyone.
Except the oligarchs that get to buy up industries and get their taxes cut.
Man, where have we seen this before?
1930. At one point, just for historical fact, Hitler was rumored to be the richest person in the world because he sold off all these industries in Germany to private corporations, and he got a share of their profits or a share of ownership in the business. And Hitler was a multi-billionaire at one point in the height of Nazi Germany. So Trump is following that playbook. He's doing it through meme coins. He made something like 200 billion off that meme coin that he launched.
Melania's got a meme coin.
He wants to be, Elon Musk number one. Elon Musk wants to be the world's first trillionaire, and Trump wants to be right there behind him. Yeah, and he's doing everything he can to make it happen.
Shake my head, man. Scary times out there.
Spooky. Yeah, I think that's a good summary.
Yeah.
So, I hope everybody listens to this and thinks, what can I do in the trade war?
Stop buying American shit right now.
There's a website, I think it's like buycanada.ca or something, and they have a ton of products that are made in Canada. But then even those labels can be a little confusing, right? Made in Canada just means that it could be an American company that's produced a product in Canada, which is better than an import product. But what you really want to see is product of Canada. That means that it was produced in Canada, Canadian company.
Okay, I'm learning something.
Yeah,
product of Canada.
Product of Canada. So you see that on a lot of produce, and I think what you should ask your grocery stores to be doing, and like not to force everybody to get into a letter writing campaign, but it's realistic to ask our grocery stores to be putting better labels on price cards. So when you're standing there, if there's a little thing that can go right beside the price card that says made in Canada or product of Canada to just help. So you're not reading labels like I was yesterday going up and down the grocery store aisle.
Yeah. There's an opportunity here. The first grocer to come out and be like, this entire aisle, this is the Canada aisle, right?
Yeah.
Like people are gonna respond to that.
Yeah. I think that would be super positive. Most grocery stores in Canada are Canadian owned. Right? I think the only ones that aren't are like Costco and Walmart. And I'm not going to stop shopping at Costco because actually Costco is a pretty great company and they do a lot of great things for their employees. So
and they just switched back to Coca-Cola, so that's pretty huge.
That's pretty huge.
Big deal.
And Coca-Cola is bottled in Canada for the Canadian market. So it's an American company, but they employ Canadians and they bottle in Canada.
Yeah, if you had to quit Coke Zero, would you be like, you know what? I take it all back. Trump's all right.
Yeah, make me the 51st state. Yeah, don't take away my Coke Zero. No. That's the thing is it's baby steps. I don't think anybody can possibly be 100%. I'm only buying Canadian.
No way, man. I'm going to do a step further. I got to start like RKOing all these mule deer that are ripping around Okotoks. That's how I'm feeding my family.
Yeah. I mean, there's something to that, right? I think maybe that'll spur some people to be like, okay, how do I become a little more self-reliant?
Yep.
Instead of counting on these supply chains that evidently can be torn apart with the stroke of a pen by the American president.
Stroke of a pen with a tiny orange hand.
And a tiny little baby carrot.
Yep. Oh, man. Okay. Yeah, I feel like
we ended this episode on a little bit of a bummer.
Well, let's do a total 180 and just kind of finish, not necessarily on a high note, but Bills Chiefs. Actually, let's end on an even sour note. Our boys, my newfound team. I don't want to say they didn't get it done. They couldn't get it completed. And as a new fan of the NFL, we talk a lot of conspiracy theory game with regards to everything. But I watch the NFL and I'm like, I don't buy it. I feel like something's fishy.
Yeah, it's a meme now that Kansas City gets favorable calls all the time, and I think it's gone beyond meme where it's like, yeah, they do get a ton of favorable calls. I think part of it, a week removed now, I'm still sad about it.
Yeah, I just brought it up. Sorry, kick a guy when he's down.
Yeah, a week removed now, it's like, well, you can't leave it up to those little calls by the refs, right? At some point, they kept calling those fourth down sneaks by Josh Allen to the left, and the Chiefs were all over it. And it's like, yeah, I think he did get that first down, but it's so close. And if you're going to leave that to refs that are going to defer to the two-time champions, well, three-time, but two-time in a row, you're going to lose that battle. You can't leave it to the refs who I think whether or not they're getting direct orders from the NFL to kind of push the Chiefs into the Super Bowl, or they just want to defer to Patrick Mahomes or whatever. You can't leave it up to that.
You watch these games, and like from the kickoff, if you look above the players on the field, they've got like these CGI AR pillars, like the technology that's involved in producing these games, the way they're filmed, the way that the cameras operate, and you still have fucking 60-year-old dickheads with a chain.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Like, how have we not solved that?
Oh, it is solvable. I think it's a feature, not a bug. And you see it in soccer. They've got VAR. They can tell by the width of a pube hair if that ball has gone over the line and into the net or not, right? They can tell if your pinky finger was offside, which is annoying to an extent, right? Because it's kind of like you've taken out any human element of the game. But it's also like, well, no, it's the integrity of the game, right? And I think there's a little bit of that missing in the NFL lately, and one team seems to be the ultimate beneficiary of that. I mean, I think about the catch that Buffalo challenged near the end of the first half, where
that hit the ground,
and they gave him the catch, and the Kansas City player had one hand on top of the ball, and I'm like, well, there's no way he controlled that. It was controlled because it hit the ground, and also the Buffalo player had his arm around the ball. That's why it didn't move. But I was like, you can't say nobody's catching a ball at the top, and like that's impossible. Nobody's doing that. And they were like, yeah, no, it's catch. And it's like, what, you reviewed that? Like, how did you come to that conclusion even after reviewing it? And so it's like, okay, but that's another thing. You cannot leave that up to the refs because they'll defer to Kansas City. And so the Eagles are in tough next week.
Yeah, I won't be watching. I'll be fishing.
I might join you if that's all right. I don't want to. I said that last night. I was like, I'm going to go fishing with Drew, and you're like, I am going fishing. I was like, oh, perfect.
Yeah,
I don't want to watch that fucking game. I think it's like the tariff war. You got to vote with your wallet, vote with your viewership. If they see a viewership decrease, maybe they'll wake up and be like, oh, people don't want to watch the fucking Chiefs win every game off weird calls. Like they won several games this year off weird calls. That's
the thing. That's what I'm saying. Like as the person who is not well versed in the NFL, I'm just watching and I'm like, this seems off.
Yeah,
this happens a lot.
You know, it's a weird, nefarious thing. Now that there's legalized gambling in the U.S. and obviously across Canada as well, but the U.S. is a huge market for legalized gambling, which has only been around for 3-4 years now. You got people putting real money on these games, and I think you need to come out and say if this is not real, you need to say that because people should not be gambling on this. Like gambling is nefarious to begin with. I love gambling. Don't get me wrong.
I didn't love it last night.
Yeah, no, me neither. But I like gambling, but it's very dystopian to have like this kind of weirdly fixed sort of event or like semi-fixed sort of event that you allow people to put money on. Like it's like betting on the WWE. It's like that's.
I thought as soon as you said that, I was like, yeah.
It's like
the Undertaker's gonna get him this time.
It's like, and that's a very weird thing to allow people to bet on something that's potentially already been predetermined.
Man, I you know what? I don't know why I thought bringing up the NFL was gonna be like let's.
A positive end, and
now a positive end.
No.
Yeah, big disappointment. Bills Mafia. We'll be back next year, or will we? I don't know. That team doesn't stay intact.
They actually. So a positive thing from the Bills' standpoint is actually this year was kind of supposed to be a little bit of a rebuild year for the Bills. They had a ton of dead cap from getting rid of Stephon Diggs, something like $50 million in dead cap this year. That gets freed up. So the Bills all of a sudden have a ton of cap space to work with, and a lot of their best players are signed through multiple years. Josh Allen's there for life, right? James Cook's going to be there. Their younger receivers are still on rookie deals. So they got some money to spend, and hopefully either through the draft or through free agency, they can maybe find, a good safety or a good cornerback to kind of fill in that defense a little bit, and maybe like a top wide receiver. But they've got $50 million to spend on it.
So the outlook is great.
I think it's positive. I think it's more positive than going into this season. This season was like, when they started the season, a lot of people weren't even predicting them to win their division, and they did. And then they went all the way to the conference championship, right? On a year that people thought, well, this is like a kind of a throwaway year and we'll pick it up next year. So there's positives.
Okay. Yeah, and let's get, here's my 2 cents. Let's get less Taylor Swift on camera and a little more Haley Steinfeld, okay?
My wife's going to hate you for that comment.
Oh, she's so hot. God. And you know what? I'm not that guy. I'm not. I rarely talk about famous people, famous good-looking women. She's hot.
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10.
Get her on TV more. Yeah. All right. I feel like it's been a while since we've done some self-promotion. Email us, raddadredemptionpodcast@gmail.com. We'll read you on air. Shout out again, Uncle Ben, for the nice gifts. Do come and see us at Hubtown, specifically Dex, me as well at the next show, and vote for Dex. He's definitely, I want to say, the big contender here for the showdown. But more importantly, just come support some amateur comics and a great brewery in town. Hubtown's doing a fantastic job. So we'd love to see you guys out there. And maybe if you send an email, we could get a big table going, something like that. You know?
Yeah, it would be fun to get a rezo at a big table and have a crew out and hopefully get a few more people up.
We're that grassroots. We could do like a Rad Dad table.
Totally. I think we could get at least 8 people.
Yeah. Hey, all 8 of you that made it this far, RSVP.
I think that's a low bar, but it's achievable, you know?
I think so. That's what we'll do. We'll get a Rad Dad table going, and we hope to see you out.
Thank you for tuning in. Hope to see you soon. Good luck in the trade war.
Yeah, good luck. Good luck out there. Bye, Canadian.